Remain lied to. This is what I've been told. My name's Mike Cashman. If you find what I'm saying interesting or useful, please subscribe to the channel, buy the books and the videos, invite me to speak. But remain lied to, I've been told, and I'm going to illustrate the significance of this with a little analogy about a tractor and a horse. We'll come back to those. But I use the words remain lied to because an audience member shouted this out in an episode of BBC Question Time some time ago, and the chairman, who was David Dimbleby then, said, "Oh, remain lied to." In other words, by saying remain lied to, this is an admission of lies and deceit by the Leave side. And there's the first point. It is no justification of your deceit to say that other people are being deceitful. That is a race to the moral bottom. That is a statement that the end justifies the means. That is a debasing of political discussion. But what about that statement, remain lied to? Now, I will deal briefly with the question of remain lying, because, of course, what they're accused of was Project Fear. And, I was part of Project Fear in the first satirical poem in Brexit's A Trick Not a Treat, or satirical song, Brexitian Fantasy, 13th of June 2016, so 10 days before the referendum. So in the song, which is a takeoff of Bohemian Rhapsody, so in the song Brexitian Fantasy, I suggest that the currency, the sterling, will crash if we vote to leave, that trade will be more difficult, that there'll be an effect on the economy, that Boris Johnson doesn't have a plan, and that it would be difficult to get back into the EU if we left. I don't feel the need to retract any of those. There were various other things in risk analysis, in Project Yellowhammer, for example, or Operation Yellowhammer, and lots of things. There were warnings about problems with the supply chain, shortages of labour, and so on, all decried at the time. But the government are now telling us this is all part of the plan, the things that they told us to ignore back then. So, the contention actually that remain lied to doesn't really stand up. Out of all the risks that were predicted, and, in a risk analysis, not everything is going to happen, but out of all those risks, an enormous number have actually happened. But what I am going to argue, though, is that what the Remain side said is irrelevant. Back to the story. You are considering whether to use a horse or a tractor, I will ask you to suppose, for pulling your agricultural machinery around in the future. Let's just suppose that actually at the moment you're using a tractor to make the story work. Let's assume that it's time potentially to buy a new tractor, which will work, or you hope so, or to buy a horse, because a horse salesman has come along and said, "Oh, horse is much better than a tractor." Now, let us assume that the salespersons for the new tractor or the new, for you, horse, let's suppose, for the sake of argument, in the analogy, that they're both lying through their teeth. So the tractor salesman for your new tractor tells you wonderful things about what the new tractor will do, and maybe tells you some stuff about the horse, which you're a bit doubtful about. The horse salesperson tells you wonderful things about the horse that'll enable you to operate just as before, and along the way tells you some lies about the tractor, and perhaps, as I say, exaggerates the capabilities of the horse. So you listen to all of those. The horse salesperson is very, very convincing, and you take note of all the claims that the horse will enable you to work just as you did before with the tractor. So you're happy with that, but you hear lots of warnings from the horse salesperson about the tractor, and so you buy the horse. Now, the horse turns out not to perform as well as the tractor, as it turns out, not as reliable. Sorry, I've got nothing against horses, but just for the sake of argument. Can't work as long, can't work as efficiently. You've got a lot of problems with the horse. At this point, it is a mere fact of law that the claim you have is against the salesperson for the horse. Whatever the person for the tractor, the salesperson for the tractor said, is now legally irrelevant. You didn't buy the tractor. The claim that you have is against the salesperson for the horse, because we are in the world, we've taken the action that resulted from what the horse salesperson said. We've entered into a contract with the horse salesperson. It's the horse salesperson who is accountable for what happens subsequently. It doesn't matter whether the tractor salesperson was telling you the absolute truth or telling you a load of lies. For the horse salesperson to say the tractor salesperson lied too is absolutely no defense. If you doubt this, then ask a lawyer. So please don't come at me with suggestions such as Remain lied too. It's irrelevant. And as it happens, much of what Remain side warned you about is happening, and the government is saying, yes, we always knew this would happen, although at the time they were deriding it as lies from Remain and Project Fear. So no more Remain lied too. If you find this has been interesting or useful, please subscribe to the channel. But get rid of the horse. Sorry, horse. Thank you.